Hey everybody, Beardo here. You're watching Minutia Minute, and it's time for more of the modern age history of Batman. Now, before I get started, I want to talk a little bit about timeline here, because everyone complains about DC's New 52 and how could all this have taken place in 5 years. And I think that it's going to become readily apparent how that is a complete statistical impossibility. Obviously, DC has openly said, like, look, you just kind of got to take us on our word and just buy it. I honestly don't really care, but it is kind of funny because we've had Batman Year 1, around this time in Detective Comics, Batman Year 2 was going on. Eventually we'll get to Batman Year 3, and by Year 3 is when Dick Grayson comes in as Robin. So already you've got 3 years under your belt. And on top of that, between issues 410 and 411, when you have Jason Todd being taken in and then him going after Two-Face, you've got a 6-month period of Jason Todd doing nothing but training. And I think it's funny because we're at 3.5 years and we're only on issue 412. So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny. Thought I'd share that with you guys. But let's kick off the main event here with number 412. So this is Batman, The New Adventures. This is introducing the Mime, who is a character well known and loved within the confines of this one single solitary Batman title. I suspect the Mime has never reappeared, but you never know. Just a villain of the week, nothing to call home about. Here's Batman 413, another villain of the week. We've got Samurai Ghost, kind of a story, kind of interesting. The thing that makes these early Batman stories kind of interesting for the modern age is that Jason Todd, while he was kind of a punk when he started, really becomes, very Dick Grayson-like in these early issues. He pops in here and there, and, he's a nice kid. There's nothing really wrong with him at this point. And it's interesting because you look in the letters columns and everyone is saying, like, what are you doing? Why don't we have Dick Grayson back? And I think that what people really wanted is you had Crisis on Infinite Earths, which basically was the big continuity upheaval, the first of its kind, the first to really reboot DC or Marvel at that time. And, there was this great opportunity, this great window where if they wanted to put Dick Grayson back in as Robin, they could have done that. People said they should have done that with the New 52 even. And I think that to a degree, Jason Todd's fate was really sealed before he even set foot on the page, because there's really nothing to warrant people's hatred of Jason Todd other than the fact that they just wanted Dick Grayson back as Robin. And it's especially relevant now, or at this time, to be arguing for that because, he wasn't so established as Nightwing that you couldn't imagine him switching back to being Robin. I think that nowadays when people say, well, why don't they just have Dick Grayson as Robin, it's not nearly as popular of an idea just because people are really attached to him as Nightwing in the same way that they're attached to, Barbara Gordon as Oracle. But of course that's a whole different can of worms that I'm not going to open. Alright, so anyway, here's issue 414, and it's another villain of the week. Basically this is a guy who's a serial killer, kills women, gets away with it. It's very unjust, and Batman sort of has to deal with the injustices of society. The interesting thing about this is the story is in no way resolved in this issue, but we're just going to abandon it for now. So forget issue 414, and we'll continue on because this story won't come back up for several more issues. Next up, we have 415, where basically it's a Millennium crossover. This is Millennium Week 2. Never read Millennium, so this book hasn't really meant a whole lot to me. Next up, we have 416, and in 416, you're starting to see Jason Todd be a little bit antagonistic. You're starting to see people purposely write him as a little bit of a jerk. And you really get that in here with him sort of, going head-on with Nightwing. And again, when people are pulling for Jason Todd to go away and for Dick Grayson to be Robin again, having Jason Todd being a brat in front of Nightwing sort of becomes the ultimate offense on Jason Todd's part. Of course, by the end of the issue, they're more or less getting along, but as it turns out, things go how they go, and Jason Todd is not long of this world. Anyway, we're going to continue with 417. This is a 4-part storyline called 10 Nights of the Beast. It's basically a standalone story in which we get the first appearance of KG Beast, who of Batman's Rogues Gallery is kind of like the little engine that could, in the sense that he always keeps popping up. He's shown up in video games, he's shown up in the comics a couple of times, he has all these proteges, but he's not really even a B-list villain. I mean, he's in this, he's in a couple other places, and, he shows up when he shows up. And so basically what happens is KG Beast comes to town, and he's gonna murder, 10 different people or 20 different people in 10 nights. And this is Batman trying to stop it. The thing that makes this particular series especially enjoyable to read is because Batman really sucks at life in this. Of the people that KG Beast is going to kill, he literally kills 99% of them before Batman finally is able to stop him in issue number 420. Alright, now as I said, issue number 414 with the serial killer is abandoned for many, many issues. And finally in 421, that storyline picks back up, and it's Batman basically, making his move for justice. And we've got that happening in 421. And then it basically wraps up in 422. You can tell it's tied in just from that knife, that very distinct Crocodile Dundee knife he's wielding around there. Alright, then we have 423. This is kind of a cool McFarlane cover there, early McFarlane. Pretty neat stuff. And at this point, we are going to get into Jason Todd really being a bastard. And with issue number 424, you have exactly what is implied within the issue. You have Jason Todd, who is chasing down a criminal, and the criminal falls to his doom. And there's a very, very distinct question of, did Jason Todd push this guy, or did he just fall? And, Batman confronts him head on with this and doesn't get a clear answer. And, the boiling point is very quickly getting reached. Now, the important thing to note in 424 is the person he's throwing off here is actually the son of a diplomat. And so in issue 425, you get a major confrontation between Batman and these dignitaries. And there is a lot more deaths, a lot more bloodshed, and Jason Todd really, really learns a very important lesson about the consequences of your actions. And whether those lessons are lost on him or not, only time will tell. So we're going to wrap up here with issue 425. I think one thing that's really interesting about these last couple of issues, and then what's coming with issue 426, is that you really get to see Batman on a global scale. And I'm not talking about Batman Incorporated. I'm talking about Batman around the world. You've got, foreign dignitaries. Earlier in here we had KG Beast. And you really get a sense that, DC is making a push to make their universe part of the world that we live in. And it really works well for Batman to have him kind of around the world a little bit and have him get outside of the Gotham City that we all know and are familiar with him being in. It really makes the character a little bit more relatable and adds just a little bit more realism to him, I think, in a weird way. I think that it's this era of comics that Christopher Nolan really latched onto, in the sense of when, you have Batman going to Hong Kong and The Dark Knight and all these kinds of things, where, again, it's all about opening up the world and recognizing that there's more than just Gotham City in the United States. He could be anywhere. So anyway, we looked at, let me get these back up here. We looked at 425, 424, 423, 422, 421, 420, 419, 418, 417, 416, 415, 414, 413, and the epic 412, first appearance of the mime. See you later.